Evet, herkese merhaba. Dersimize hoş geldiniz. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to our lesson. We are starting now. Hemen şimdi başlıyoruz. So, today, what will we talk about? What will be the subject? Today we will talk about the reported speech and subordination. As you may remember last week, we learned two suffixes. They were an and dık. They were like relative clauses. We use them to say like the book that I am reading. In this lesson, we will learn more uses, more examples of the dık suffix because it's not only for relative clauses. We don't use the dık for only saying the book that I am reading. We use the dık suffix for also saying like I know that you did this or he said that you did this. Reported speech and subordination is like used like made with dık suffix in Turkish. You can see the list of the lesson content. We will go in this order. First the two separate subjects and then the lines of Turkish, just quick reminders, and if we have enough time left we will do exercises and that will be the end. So hemen başlayalım. Quick reminder, as I said, an and dık. So we use an suffix for the subject and we use dık for the object. As an example sentence here, ben film izleyen adamı tanıyorum. I know the man who is watching a movie and benim okuduğum kitap çok güzel. The book that I am reading is so good. There are more information on this and there are more examples as you can see. For example, let's read the dık. Annemin yaptığı yemek çok güzel kokuyor. The food that my mom is cooking smells delicious. So we use this dık suffix to include information about the food, like which food, the food that my mom is cooking. So, if you were not there last week, or if you want to review these an and dık suffixes in this context, you can go to the Google folder and you can find the lesson notes. In this lesson, we will not focus on this. In this lesson, we will focus on the reported speech. And let me read a question real quick. Subordination the same like subordinate clauses. Yes, like when you say I know that you did this, or I saw that it rained. That part is a subordinate clause, exactly, and that's what it is. It's basically the same construction, by the way, the same structure. We use dık for both, but with reported speech, as you can see here in the picture, there's always a söyledi or söyledi. Söylemek means to it's to tell, but there are of course some complications. I will also explain that. The reported speech is made with söylemek. Subordination is made with any other verb. I will show the differences later on. For now, the content of this part. For those who don't know, you can read a quick definition of what a reported speech is, and then we will see how it works, and then there will be charts, like tables, to show the connection of every personal pronoun. And then there will be quick examples, and here is when you can see the difference between söylemek and demek. It will not be the complete complete overview about the difference because there are more other details. I will only talk about in terms of a reported speech, and then I will also show examples. Okay, so we are starting with what is a reported speech and how does it work. So a reported speech is basically, when you report something, but reporting not as in like a news, but more like casual speech, like when you say, like, he said that, he said he was sick, he said he was at school, he said he was working. When you basically, like in a conversation, tell what someone told you. As the name suggests, like you can literally hear it, reported speech. In some books, in some resources, it's also called indirect speech, like telling what someone said indirectly. This usually involves dialogues, like your friend tells you something, then you go to another friend and tell the another friend what the first friend told you. And how does that work? In different languages like English and Turkish, we have different structures. In English, as most of you know, we say he or she said that. Like he said that his mom was cooking. In Turkish, we use this suffix, this structure. Not only the suffix, also the verb. The verb is important. Dık söylemek. O annesinin yemek yaptığını söyledi. He said that his mom was cooking. But there is something, or there are a bunch of words, there are a bunch of suffixes in the Turkish part. It's longer than the English sentence and it's differently built than English sentence. What is the difference between the Turkish and English construction? Like there are a bunch of suffixes. The dık suffix in Turkish is followed by possessive markers. You can see the possessive marker here, like o, ı. O and ı are connected. O annesinin yemek yaptığını söyledi. We use the possessive marker because it is just a rule. Every dık suffix needs to be followed by a possessive marker because Turkish is an agglutinative language. We indicate the person or the subject who is doing the action with suffixes, with markers. So this ı is the marker that his mom is doing the action or doing the cooking. In the next slide, let's see a chart of every pronoun. This will make it easy for you to understand, so you can see everything or every conjugation. It can look scary because there are a bunch of suffixes, but over time with practice, when you memorize the suffixes, you will get a hang of it. It will seem very what was the word, like predictable and consistent, because there are barely irregularities. It's mostly regular. And now you can see the table with colors and all the personal pronouns like ben, I, sen, you, o, he, biz, we, siz, you, onlar, they. And these pronouns turn into these when you use them as possessive adjectives. For example, when you use like my car, you use benim. Just like the way you change from I to my in English. And these are the endings they use. There are 4 options, except for this here. This has 2 options. And maybe you are confused about which option to choose, like un or un or un. You can determine the correct option based on the vowel harmony. I will not go into details of the vowel harmony, but there's a rule or set of rules to tell us which option to choose based on the last vowel of a verb. So for example, the ı here, based on the rule, tells me I have to choose because when I say that I'm like my mom or I did, I need to choose If the person is sen, then you need to go with senin, and you need to choose ın, yaptığın. For o, it becomes yaptığı. For biz, it becomes yaptığımız. For siz, it becomes yaptığınız. For onlar, it becomes yaptıkları. Okay, I will slow down a little bit here. This is a big table. Maybe you are still new to this. Take all the time you need to consume this information. You will just need to memorize this table. And as I always do, I will give you this as in a PDF. So, I mean, you can also find it on the internet if you type like possessive adjective markers, suffixes. In your free time, you should memorize these endings. And once you memorize these endings, using the dık suffix will be pretty easy. Alex, yes, there's a rule that explains the let's see it here. The D turning into T, there's of course a rule. It's called consonant hardening. And of course you can also see the K turning into soft G. This is also called consonant softening. So you can go to the lesson 1 in the Google folder, or look it up on the internet. It's called consonant mutations or consonant changes. There are rules that explain why these happen, why these letters change into different things. But explaining this every time makes the lesson like too extended. So for now, I will stay focused on the actual suffix, the dık suffix, and how it's used with the pronouns. Yeah, there are two things, the T and the soft G. But if you see it here, the soft G didn't change here. Sorry, the K didn't change into soft G here because this starts with an L, which is a consonant. And you can see the more of the rule in the lesson 1. Okay. So there's one thing I want to point out. Like, if this helps, maybe you can memorize this as like he's doing or you're doing, because we are using my, your, his or her, our, your, their. If this helps, you can remember this as like you're doing. Sorry, you're doing, my doing, or our doing, our doing, his doing, your doing, and their doing. But wasn't this ması? If you remember the verbal nouns lesson, I also said his doing was actually ması. Other times, yes. Other times when you need to like his doing is nice, like onun yapması güzel. It's ması other times, but with reported speech we use dık instead of ma. I also get questions about the difference between ma and dık. That's one of them. Dık is used in reported speech, not ma. Like, I saw his doing. Onun yapmasını gördüm demiyoruz. I saw, like he's doing, onun yaptığını gördüm diyoruz. Okay, so I think you should be familiar with the table by now, so I will move to the second part. And what's next? So finally, we are moving into the examples and how to actually build the reported speech. So first, in order to do a reported speech, we need to know the difference between demek and söylemek. There are two verbs that actually mean to say, but there are different cases you need to be careful with. So the first one, as you can read here, this is just what I said in voice. You can just learn it through practice and intuition. You need to have a feeling about the difference. I can't explain all of the differences in one lesson because there will always be a case where it is a different use that I can't think of at the moment. So the more practice you do, the more exposure you get to the difference. But in the terms of reported speech, I can put it this way. Demek and söylemek, they are very similar verbs. They both basically is used like to say, but demek doesn't use any ending. It uses quotes instead. O, annem yemek yapıyor dedi. Like my mom, maybe I can type this so you can see it clearly. Like he said, my mom is cooking food. It uses a quote, like quoting marks here. When you put it this way, you can use demek. But if you change the quoting mark instead into like he said that his mom is cooking. Now, at least in English, you can see the difference. He said that his mom was cooking. Now, this is a different sentence structure. He said that his mom was cooking. So like my mom changes into his mom, and that's how we change it into Turkish. Instead of quoting this, annem yemek yapıyor, we change it into this. Annesinin yemek yaptığını söyledi. We changed the annem part into annesinin because my mom becomes his mom, and yapıyor, this is a full conjugation. We change it because there cannot be two conjugated verbs, like söyledi is already here. We need to add the dını suffix, and of course it becomes tığını. Okay, so there's one more thing. As a general tip, I want to call it a general tip because there can be cases where this might not be correct. You should always be careful with this one. But for now, you can just think of this like demek is like direct quotes, söylemek is indirect or reported speech. And here is my reminder, my general tip. Demek is basically like to say. He said hi. Selam dedi. Or we can change the example like he said no, hayır dedi. He said okay, tamam dedi. But when you use a reported speech structure like he said to me, I'm not sure if this second sentence is preferred or even correct in English, but he said to me or he told me that his mom was cooking. Bana, to me, annesinin yemek yaptığını söyledi. When you change your sentence into a reported speech, instead of just saying, like he said hi, then it becomes to tell, or to say as in a reported speech, like said to me. So, Megan is typing. I think she's going to comment about the second sentence. Like, as I said, I'm not really sure if you will say that in English. But yeah, söylemek teams up with that. Like he said that. Yaptığını söyledi. The that part is used with söyledi. And yaptığını dedi. Yaptığını dedi maybe like might also be used by some native speakers. Like There are of course rules of the grammar, but people don't always care about the rules. They just say whatever they think is right or whatever they feel like saying. You might hear yaptığını dedi, but in the standard speaking, or when you're writing an essay, when you're writing an official thing, if you want to say like that, like yaptığını söyledi. Okay, so I will move to the next part and see what's next. So now, the next part is about converting direct speeches into reported speech. Okay, so 1 second. So now you can see more examples with this dedi and söyledi. I made a table myself. Maybe I can ask for examples if you have things to say, or if you want to try this, you can use dedi and söyledi. I also separate the suffixes here because I will explain something about these final n parts in a bit. So for now, if you want to try a sentence like this, you can try it. So for example, I can make a one line here. So if I say like ben su içiyorum. If the statement is ben su içiyorum, I am drinking, how would you use this? This part is pretty simple. I will just type it myself. O ben su içiyorum dedi. But how about the second part, reported speech part? For now, you can just type without the spoiler. There's a big mistake in your example, Hawla. There's a inconsistency, like it doesn't go with the same ending. You need to remember that in the statement or direct speech, ben changes into o because like he says like I am, but when you're talking about him, it becomes about o. O su içtiğini söyledi. And Megan, you forgot this final and like the last ni part, the accusative. O su içtiğini söyledi. Yes, Havla, he said ben, but you are not using this direct quoting. You are using the reported. This goes the same way even in English. Like he's like o says something like ben su içiyorum becomes he said that he is drinking water. Exactly. You even in English you change it. So Turkish is not that different. We are changing the pronoun like from he to from I to he. O su içtiğini söyledi. Okay. Meanwhile, let's do one more example. So, if the statement is ben oyun oynuyorum. If someone says this, how would you report this? You didn't change ben to o in your sentence. As you can see it here, there's still o and ben. You need to change that ben to onun. Yes, that was just your first time. You will get used to it. Let's try this new one. Oyun oynuyorum. Correct. Oyun oynadığını söyledi. So in the direct parts, you can keep the pronoun the same. O oyun oynuyorum dedi. O oyun oynadığını söyledi. So this ben changes into o because we are saying like he said. I can use a different pronoun in the statement to show this converting. So let's say that biz ders çalışıyoruz. That one will be tricky. I kind of feel you will be even more confused. So if someone says biz ders çalışıyoruz, how would you report this? Or like if a group of people says this, what would you say? Which pronoun you will change into? I will wait a little bit. That's why I am silent for everyone to type and try. I can see typos. I will call them typos because they are not big mistakes, but there are errors in these suffixes. So it's correct if the statement is like we are studying. If this subject is we, when you report this, you will say they, because even in English, you will say like they said that they are studying. Onlar biz ders çalışıyoruz dedi. Onlar ders çalıştıklarını söyledi. I can also accept, wait, I made a typo myself. I can also accept the other alternative. Onlar ders çalıştığını söyledi. Singular and plural endings are both accepted. So, the point you guys missed is adding this ending based on onların. I don't type it, but there's a hidden, like onlar, onların ders çalıştıklarını söyledi. Onların. Oh, this made it too long. Let me change the font. Okay. I can go back to our table for reference here. Onların, like onlar, onların yaptıkları. Onlar, onların ders çalıştıkları. You can also use the singular part, çalıştığını or çalıştıklarını. Onlar sometimes uses the singular o endings. And yeah, your example looked like onlar ders çalıştığımızı söyledi. Yeah, they said that we are studying. Like in this case, we are the thing we are the group that is studying. Okay. So We will do more examples later on. Now I want to move into subordination because it will be very simple. It will use the same structure. If you have questions, I can answer it. But for now, you can, save it, you can type it, I can go back to it. But now I want to move to this subordination. So I use this picture so there will be something that you can remember up with. It will ring a bell in your memory. I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's a horror movie, and this is a subordinate clause. I know what you did last summer. So I know something, and what do I know, which is the subordinate part, which is the part that I know, like what you did last summer. Geçen yaz ne yaptığını biliyorum. Geçen yaz, last summer, biliyorum, I know, what you did, ne, what, you did, or what you did, ne yaptığını. The translation is a little bit difficult for me. I can't, go and point at things directly because Turkish uses a different order. You will see why in a bit. So in this part, we will talk about what is a subordination and just see the examples with different pronouns. It will be the same structure, same thing. The only difference between this table or this example, we will not use söyledi. We will use any suffix because that's the difference. Reported speech uses söyledi and subordination uses any verb. So let's see first the definition. And now the examples. So instead of söylemek, it uses any verb. You can use any verb with dık suffix. And here are the examples. So like bilmek, to know, görmek, I can also write them maybe, or no, it will mess up the order, the table. Bilmek, to know, görmek, to see, duymak, to hear. Ben onun annesinin yemek yaptığını biliyorum. I know that his mom is cooking. Ben onun annesinin yemek yaptığını gördüm. I saw that his mom was cooking. Notice that we use know, bilmek, saw, görmek. Onun annesinin yemek yaptığını duydum. I hear, or let's make it in the past, I heard that his mom was cooking. Onun annesinin yemek yaptığını duydum. So it's the same structure. The only difference, instead of söylemek, you use the main verb, whatever it is. Bilmek, görmek, duymak. Biliyorum, gördüm, duydum. Havla, yes, that's a good point and that's correct. I will mention that in details later on. In English, you change is or was to indicate the tense. In Turkish, it's dık suffix for both. And there is something I want to point out now. There are two different personal pronouns and two markers this time, like ben, o, and this part and this part, because this like adds extra pronoun. I saw that his mom was cooking. In the reported speech part, it was only just like o söyledi, like he said, but this time there's I and there's his, two different parts. I put these brackets to show you that this part is just the object of the sentence. Ben biliyorum, I know, but what do I know? Ne biliyorum? Onun annesinin yemek yaptığını biliyorum. This part is the object. In the next slide, we will see a big table. The table will be very scary. I know that. So first, the reported speech and how it's used. Like you can see that with the colors. O benim annemin yemek yaptığını söyledi. O senin annenin yemek yaptığını söyledi. And you can see the rest of the table. So this C suffix here, it connects to onun. And this O connects to söyledi because he said it. You can also see this extra in or nin in each construction. That's because it's one of the subjects of the genitive clause, like benim annem, but now this becomes the possessor, my mom's doing. When you put two extra possessives, you put like one for benim and second for annem as a new possessor. Okay? You can just see it that way. You can just memorize with these suffixes. Like whoever you're talking about, first you need to put their ending, like onun, si, and then just the in ending, and then yaptığını söyledi. And we can see a new table. Okay, so ben de size teşekkür ederim. I also thank you guys for your interest, for your participation. Sonraki hafta görüşürüz. See you next week. Kendinize iyi bakın. Take care.